This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Well, hello, America, and welcome to the Glenn Beck Program and to The Blaze. This is the network that you are building. I want to talk to you a little bit tonight about your money and why they're taking your guns. Why is this big push? By the end of the program, you'll understand exactly why, and more importantly, you're going to understand a little bit more on who's behind it. I've talked about for a long time the most dangerous man in America. We all know, say it with me, who is the president that I think is the worst president of all time? Yes, still the reigning champ, Woodrow Wilson. Hate that guy. Who is the most dangerous man in America? Most people they don't even know this guy. But if you've been watching me for a long time, you know, I believe it's Cass Sunstein. Cass Sunstein is the progressive mastermind. His dream job was to be the regulatory czar of the United States. His wife said he actually wept after that. It was like, oh, I'm so excited. Who wants to be the guy that comes up with regulations? Oh, he does. Because he knows progressive regulations can change the world. And the progressives on the Republican side and the progressives on the Democratic side all love him. When President Obama threatened to, I'm just going to do it myself, it was this guy that could make that happen. It's all in the details. But Cass Sunstein, who I still think is an extraordinarily dangerous man, maybe just as dangerous in some ways, or more so, because now he's out of the spotlight, like they ever put him there, and he's just at Harvard where you can say, well, it's just academic. And he still remains in contact with the president and progressive organizations, but his lack of power now makes him considerably less dangerous unless somebody takes up his ideas and does them. And somebody has been doing it for a while. Who is the most dangerous man in America? I think it's this guy, Michael Bloomberg. Mike Bloomberg doesn't seem to be so scary. I mean, he's like the, I don't know, anti-intellectual weasel version of Cass Sunstein, and that's saying something. While Sunstein will eloquently argue for choice structure, Bloomberg skips all the finesse and just blurts out, we gotta ban soda for the kids. Cass Sunstein brilliantly coerces Americans to hand over their individual liberties because it's for a higher cause. Bloomberg just beats you over the head, you know, with all the charm and seduction of a caveman saying, not good for you, good for me take away. Bloomberg is, to many people, more cartoonish than scary. But maybe that's why so many people in New York have dismissed him. But his reach goes far beyond soda and far beyond New York City. In New York, remember, in just the few years that he has been there, he went after trans fats. He went after calories, had to have calorie counts on every menu. He said, we've got to ban salt. He now, and Tiffany, yep. I don't really think we had to go. Who went to the liquor store? This was Dr. Jack Daniels, paging Dr. Jack Daniels. We go way back. Anyway, should stay away from that. He wants to limit access to alcohol. Now, I'm a former alcoholic. That's a bad idea. I have a problem, but many people don't. I was a smoker. I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes every day. He wants to regulate them now. How about idling cars? Oh, or the latest one, styrofoam cups. He's banning them from the city. Taxis. He's forcing a certain amount of taxis to be a hybrid. And also, just last week he said, these darn kids, they're listening to their earbuds. What? He has to regulate the earbuds. Baby formula. It's hard to keep up with all the things he just thinks is the right thing for you because he's smarter. Today, in New York City Council, they unveiled the new proposal that would ban tobacco products. Well, not ban them exactly, more of a choice structure. They won't be visible. They'll be banned from being visible. That's a great idea. If we could have invisible cigarettes, look at me. I'm smoking one now. No, not invisible cigarettes. They're just going to be required to be kept in cabinets or drawers or, someplace else. Oops. Out, from people's sights. Behind the counter. I know, maybe in a drawer under the counter. Like when I was growing up in the 70s, what do we have? We kept porn magazines down there. You couldn't display and you couldn't see. You'd have to walk in and say, I'd like a Playboy, please. Because it wasn't right. But now, those are right up front. Those are for everybody to see. But this stuff, oh no, no, we have to hide this. Cigarettes, candy, French fries have to be hidden. You have to have things that aren't even on the menu. You have to ask for them. With each absurd nanny state rule came the same excuse. And here they are. On the soda ban, it was this.
We have a responsibility as human beings to do something, to save each other, to save the lives of ourselves, our families, our friends, and all of the rest of the people that live on God's planet. And so while other people will wring their hands over the problem of sugary drinks in New York City, we're doing something about it.
We're not taking away anybody's right to do things. We're simply forcing you to understand that you have to make the conscious decision to go from one cup to another cup.
We are just forcing you to understand. It was an extension of his speech where he spoke at the UN, and he said that making people healthy, try this on for size, see where this fits in the Constitution, was government's highest duty.
There are powers only governments can exercise, policies only governments can mandate and enforce, and results only governments can achieve. Governments at all levels must make healthy solutions the default social option. That is, ultimately, government's highest duty.
Wow. Welcome to the wonderful world of progress and progressives like Michael Bloomberg, who gets his own plate. He knows better than you. Do you have a plate with your face on it? He does. So they'll force you to understand that you're just a dummy. And I'm not going to say that out loud, but I mean, if you keep eating this stuff or drinking this stuff or not going in the cool little cab, you're probably too stupid to know that I'm controlling every aspect of your life. Now, the average American will say, okay, cool, well, this is just for New Yorkers, and New Yorkers get what they deserve. But that doesn't make Bloomberg the most dangerous man in America. Doesn't that make him the most dangerous man in New York City? Well, no, and here's why. According to Forbes, Bloomberg now is the 13th richest person in the entire world. 13 on the big board. His net worth is an estimated $27 billion. That is ahead of spooky dude George Soros. George Soros dumps hundreds of millions of dollars into progressive organizations. Now we've got two of them. George Soros throws his money around because he's convinced himself that he is God. Do you remember this quote? I admit I always have harbored an exaggerated view of my self-importance. To put it bluntly, I fancied myself some kind of God. Oh, that's not spooky. Bloomberg, like Soros, believes he is also a godlike figure, charged with saving the world and saving all mankind. Hello, Jesus, is that you? If you think you are that important, well, unless you're Jesus, you also will believe you are above the law, because you're in rarefied air. Let me show you a couple of examples. When Bloomberg enacted a law that said car idling is bad and you can't do it, he did it. And he let him idle because
And it's just incumbent on those of us that want to leave a good life for our children and want to have clean air for us to breathe and clean water to drink and that sort of thing. This is not just for the future. This is for the present as well. It's incumbent on us to really carry the fight.
Okay, so there he is making the case that car idling is bad. Can't do it. Can't do it because it's incumbent upon us. We got to do it. It's not just for, I mean, it's for, all of us today, too. We all need clean air. But 3 months later, Bloomberg was busted on multiple occasions, leaving his, not one, but fleet of SUVs idling for hours at a time, even in mild temperatures where there was no need to keep the car cool or warm. But that wasn't far enough. After he was busted for that, he said, well, okay, I'm not going to leave it idling. You're right. When you're right, you're right. So instead, he did this. You see that little black stand there with the air conditioning unit that you would have in your apartment in New York? He actually built an air conditioning unit for his car. So I'm not leaving my car idling. I'm just putting an air conditioning unit in the window. This guy believes he's king. You little people, stop worrying about what I do, okay? It's not my car. It's not my one car. It's all of your cars, okay? I mean, the king wants his car cool. I'm a king. I know I'm a king. How do I know I'm a king? I have a plate. Elvis was a king, and he had a plate, too. So much for the planet, Mr. King. So much for the children. Despite being outspoken in favor of term limits, so much so that according to the New York Times, he once, quote, called an effort to reverse the limits disgusting. When his second term was coming to an end, however, it was different. He said the two-term limit really needs to be overturned because...
As a businessman with expertise on Wall Street and finance, and as a mayor who has balanced budgets and delivered services, I can tell you that the enormity of the challenges ahead should not be underestimated.
Do you understand?
Handling this
You cannot do it. There's nobody else that can do it. I'm a businessman. I have all the... I'm the 13th richest man in the world for a reason. I'm smarter than anybody else running. His spokesperson added that Bloomberg only supported the 3 terms for himself. I mean, no big deal, because, quote, the economic recession was an extraordinary circumstance. So, I mean, there's an emergency. Bloomberg now has gone back to the 2-term limits because he's in his 3rd. So we know that he wants to control everything because he's got a God complex. We know that it doesn't apply to him. But how much is he willing to do for this power? How badly does he want it? Well, his first campaign, he spent $74 million of his own money. That's $175 per vote in New York. That was a record at the time. Until he broke it during his re-election bid by spending $78 million in 2005. But he was just getting warmed up. For his 3rd term, Bloomberg spent a whopping $102 million on his own campaign. That's nearly $250 million to serve the people. He outspent his most recent opponent by 14-1. His campaign staff was larger than 97% of all of the businesses in New York City. He rewrote the election laws in order to keep himself in office. This man has a God complex.